on, guys? This is Limitless, and today I'm going to be showing you guys the second episode of my Python series. And today we are basically going to be over some pretty simple basic data types, and I'm going to be going over a total of 4 data types within Python. And there are actually more data types in Python. There's about 8 or 10 data types. But if you are following along with this series, these main 4 data types are really going to be the only ones that you need to know for now, because the other 6 are just much more complicated. And yeah, so the first data type that I want to go over is string. And string is basically a way of storing like letters, sentences, anything that is within quotes or double quotes. So I'll just show you an example for a second. If let's say I want to store a book, right? I'll say book underscore title equals quotes, and whatever I put in these quotes is basically like my string. It's what I'm storing within book title. So I can say Jordan's book, and if I print book title like that and I run it, you'll see I get Jordan's book, because essentially this is the string. Book title is classified as a data type, and the data type is a string, and this is what is being stored within the string. So the second data type to go over is int, which also stands for integer. And within math, an integer can be any whole number, like 2, 5, 9, 10,000. It can be any type of whole number. Another data type that's very similar to this is a float. A float can essentially be any type of decimal number. So like 2.5, 3.7. It can even be a very high decimal, like just any type of number that has a decimal point like that. And to give an example, a really useful thing that you can make with this is a calculator. And pretty much with any like simple basic calculator within Python, you want to use integers and floats. But because it's a calculator, you would more want to use a float. But to give an example of a integer, I'll just say number 1 equals 5. Number 2, we'll have that equal 10. And then we could just basically do some simple math here by using our data types. And we could say number 1 plus number 2 equals, hang on, sorry, I wrote this wrong. Let's say result equals number 1 plus number 2, and then I can print result, and I should get 15. There we go. And that's basically how integers work. I can also do the same thing with decimals, just like this. Now these are considered floats. And let's see if this works. Yeah, so I get 16.2, which are just random numbers I just made up. That would be considered a float because I'm using decimal. And the only other data type that's really useful to know when you're starting Python is Booleans, which you can also type out as bool. And Booleans actually only have 1 and 2 type of like accurate things that it can produce, and it can only produce true or false. Now, because you are just learning Python, you don't actually need to know Boolean just quite yet, but it is helpful in certain situations where something has to equal true or false, and that will basically lead into like if conditions and if statements. But I won't exactly go into that just yet. But some simple things that you can do, you can type number 1 equals true. Sorry, I typed this wrong actually. You actually have to use a capital T. And I can also say number 2 equals false. And I'm pretty sure if you print like number 1 or number 2, you should get true or false. So I got true because I printed number 1, which is true up here. And if I print number 2, I should get false. And there it is. Basically, it's just outputting a Boolean statement that can only be true or false. Can't be letters, numbers, decimal numbers. It can only be true or false. And that's basically it for data types. Those are like the 4 main, most common ones that you should know right off the bat when starting Python. And just knowing those 4, you can create a ton of different things. But with the next few videos I'm going to be doing, you'll be able to expand your knowledge with data types much more and really understand like why they are so useful. But that is pretty much it for this video. If you guys have any questions, just leave it down below. And yeah, thanks for watching.